Breakker's off-air moment. Unseen WWE chaos. Raw ends in tension. Breakker targets Rollins. Hidden WWE footage. What really happened when Raw went off the air and the cameras stopped rolling, and why did Bron Breakker suddenly turn his attention towards Seth Rollins like that? And more importantly, was that moment just frustration boiling over after a long night? Or are we looking at the early spark of something WWE hasn't even fully shown us yet? So picture this. The arena lights have already started to feel a little softer, the kind of dim glow that tells you the show is officially over. Fans are still buzzing, still arguing in their seats, still replaying every moment they just saw on the big screen. You know that Raw ending feeling where half the crowd is walking out slowly, still talking about what just happened, and the other half is glued to their seats hoping for one more thing. That's usually when WWE likes to sneak in a little off-air moment. Something small. Something subtle. A wave, a stare, a quick tease. But this time? It wasn't subtle at all. Because according to what fans inside the arena started spreading immediately after the broadcast ended, Bron Breakker didn't just linger around. He didn't just walk away quietly. He stayed. And more importantly, he shifted his entire focus towards Seth Rollins in a way that felt intentional. Almost like the match might have ended on TV, but whatever tension was building between them clearly didn't care about the broadcast schedule. And you already know how wrestling fans are. If something happens off air, it doesn't stay off air for long. Someone records it, someone posts it, and suddenly the whole thing becomes a mystery everyone's trying to solve like it's a crime documentary. Now, let's slow this down a bit, because this is where it gets interesting. Seth Rollins had already gone through a rough night. You could see it in his body language earlier in the show. That slightly annoyed, slightly exhausted energy he carries when things don't go exactly his way. And then you have Bron Breakker on the opposite end of the spectrum. Young, explosive, aggressive energy. The kind of guy who doesn't just wrestle you, but make sure you feel like you got hit by a moving truck with ambition. So when Raw ended, you had these two completely different forces still in the same space. And apparently, that's when things shifted. Fans in the arena started noticing Bron Breakker lingering near the ringside area longer than expected. At first, nobody thought much of it. Wrestlers often hang around. They acknowledge the crowd, they talk to each other, they regroup. Normal stuff. But then the tone changed. Breakker's attention reportedly locked onto Seth Rollins in a way that didn't feel like casual post-match interaction. It felt sharper. More focused. Almost like he was replaying something in his head from earlier in the night. And here's where the unseen moment comes in. People started saying Breakker was mocking Rollins. Not in a cartoonish, over-the-top way, but in that subtle, irritating way that hits harder because it feels personal. The kind of taunt where you don't even need words. A look, a smirk, a gesture. That's enough. Now imagine Seth Rollins in that situation. Because Rollins is not exactly the type of guy who ignores disrespect. He's been around too long, been through too much, built too much of a legacy to just laugh something like that off. Even when he tries to stay calm, you can see that switch flip in him when someone crosses that invisible line. But what makes this moment even more interesting is that nothing officially escalated on camera. No big fight. No security rushing in. No dramatic brawl that WWE would normally replay 10 times on highlight reels. Instead, it was controlled chaos. The kind that feels even more intense because it never fully explodes. And honestly, that's what makes it stick in people's minds. Because sometimes wrestling doesn't need fists flying everywhere to feel like something big is happening. Sometimes it's just that stare. That tension. That one guy refusing to look away. Fans started asking each other in the arena, "Did you see that? Was that real? Are they teasing something?" And the funny part is, half of them weren't even sure what exactly they saw, but they knew it felt different. And that's WWE's favorite kind of moment. Now let's talk about Bron Breakker for a second, because this isn't the first time he's shown that he operates in this very intense, almost unpredictable zone. He's not someone who plays mind games in a slow, methodical way like some veterans do. His version of mind games feels more like pressure. Constant pressure. Like he's standing too close, staring too long, making sure you feel him even when he's not touching you. So if he really did target Seth Rollins in that off-air moment, it fits his pattern perfectly. It's not random. It's not accidental. It's deliberate intensity. And then there's Seth Rollins, who has basically built his entire career on being able to handle chaos, manipulation, mind games, factions, betrayals, all of it. The guy has survived eras of WWE where drama wasn't just part of the show, it was the show. So if someone like Bron Breakker is trying to get under his skin, the question becomes, is it working? Or is Rollins just waiting for the right moment to respond? Because let's be honest, Rollins doesn't forget things like that. And that's where fans start connecting dots that may or may not even exist yet. You know how it goes. One off-air moment becomes a storyline in people's heads. Suddenly it's not just something happened after Raw. This is the beginning of a rivalry. And by tomorrow, someone's already fantasy booking a pay-per-view match with a 20-minute entrance package and dramatic lighting. But here's the thing that keeps this interesting. WWE didn't show it. At least not fully. Which means either it was meant to be a soft tease, or it was just one of those organic backstage moments that accidentally got caught in the orbit of fan cameras and turned into something bigger. And honestly, those are often the moments that end up mattering the most later on. Think about it. How many major rivalries in wrestling history started from something that wasn't even supposed to be the moment? A stare. A shove. A comment. A misinterpreted glance. Wrestling thrives on that gray area where reality and storyline blur just enough that nobody is fully sure what's planned and what's just happening. And right now, that's exactly where this Bron Breakker and Seth Rollins situation sits. Right in that gray zone. And you can feel the fans leaning into it already. Social media starts lighting up. Clips get re-uploaded. People zoom in on blurry footage trying to decode facial expressions like they're solving ancient riddles. Someone will pause the video and say, "Look at that smirk," and suddenly that smirk becomes the foundation of a whole theory. It's kind of hilarious, but also kind of the magic of wrestling today. Now imagine if this really is the beginning of something between them. Because stylistically, it actually makes sense. You've got Seth Rollins, a seasoned architect of chaos, someone who has reinvented himself multiple times and knows how to control momentum in a story. And then you've got Bron Breakker, the younger, more physically explosive force who doesn't need long speeches or elaborate plans.